day.
Welcome. Look at our faces. Look at my hair. Look at the state of me. But that was
Right.
Liverpool 4, Bournemouth 2. What a Champions League semi-final second leg that was. Because that's what it felt like, boys. That's what it
Oh
felt
my
like.
God.
That was not an opening day curtain raiser. But you know what? We're Liverpool. We never do it easy. We always give the neutral a spectacle. And what a blockbuster. What a roller coaster. What a ride. That wasn't 90 minutes. That was 90 years. But what a unbelievable game. But what an emotional start and an emotional end to what was a brilliant game of football between two really good sides, two really good attacking coaches. And they went toe to toe. But we'll break it down. Welcome. We're sorry we're late because we had to take in a few moments as well because that was very, very emotional as well. But I'm glad I'm joined by Ben and Avi, who have aged probably around 65 years after that that shot of espresso won't do nothing. Avi, you need a lot, something a lot stronger than that. But tell me,
After the show,
how
definitely.
the hell shall we break that down, and where shall we start, Avi? Tell me.
First and foremost, we've got to talk about the tribute that was paid to Diogo today and
100%.
Andre Silva. And forgive me, I do seem to forget to mention Andre Silva, and that's not right. But the tribute to Diogo and Andre, that was special. That was very, very special. At Bournemouth as well, credit to them. And it was always going to be a game of, it was going to be an emotional one. I know we've played post Jota's passing, but there's something about back to business, back to Premier League football, competitiveness, than a charity shield or a preseason game. This was something special. And the game, it was a typical first game of the season type of game, Asim, funnily enough. And we've been involved. We just spoke backstage about that Liverpool Leeds game under COVID, the beginning of the season when Salah gets a hat trick. Today was one of those games where there was good, there was pretty stuff, there was bad stuff, there were mistakes which were bound to happen. I'm not going to be too critical. First game of the season. Credit to Bournemouth, credit to Iraola and the fitness of Bournemouth players. I don't think he had only made his first substitution inside 75 minutes, where we were changing it up with Kirkes and Frimpong coming off and Hendo and Robertson coming on. They looked the better team second half. But there was something in the air tonight where we just managed to get the result. We, how fitting it was for Fede to come on and score, and then Salah, what he does best on opening day and what he does best throughout the season. He gets the last word. But it was an emotional one. I was fine up until full time, and then when the camera shot to Salah, that was a tough one to see, because these players, we just assume that they're professionals and they've done their mourning, they've done their crying, but they're not. They're human just like us. And that one was a tough one to see. But you know how much it means to him and the players. And he just soaked it all in. He soaked in the Diogo chant, and credit to the fans. And I keep saying credit to Bournemouth fans, but our fans, as they've always been, are very, very special.
Very, very special. Ben, it's only right for you to be given a moment and speak about the tribute for Andre and Diogo. The perfect tribute. I mentioned it about on the match build-up that we can expect a really emotional start as well. And a credit to the club as well. I don't think it doesn't get mentioned enough that since the tragic moment, I think the club have handled every single thing in pure class. Nothing, we don't expect of Liverpool. Every time Liverpool do something in honouring and tributing, in tribute to Diogo, it's always right. But today was the first Premier League game, and I thought, okay, look, it was very, very difficult circumstances, and it showed. And at times, it's not just going to be in the first game of the season, Ben. Sometimes our team is going to suffer because losing your best mate doesn't, it will always be with these players. And I think Salah at the end, like just Avi perfectly said, that those emotions will be there forever with these guys. And that was just a reflection of it.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, as I say, I'm not sure we were all ready for that level of emotion for the first game of the season, to be honest. I think the stall was set by Sky, actually, with the opening tribute that they did, which, was really nice and really poignant for them to do. And then, obviously, the mosaic from the fans and the emotion that was round the ground. And I think, as I say, I think we've just been speaking before, and obviously the result is the result, and we can digest it and dissect it to our heart's content. But the reality is that, these guys are hurting clearly, inside in different ways. And pre-season is probably, to us, looked positive in some ways. Some things on the pitch aren't right, but behind closed doors, we don't know when there's been days where they've just not been right, not fancied it, not felt like it. Maybe that's a reason why they look a little bit undercooked fitness wise. They started probably a bit later than was planned. They've done a huge emotional tour to the Far East, and as I say, all with the backdrop of having to deal this. And they're elite professionals, so their projection to the world and to us is, we're all really sad, but we're all top professionals, and we're all just going to carry on and go back to normal. And that's not going to happen, I don't think, in lots of ways. And as we said there, the King has shown that in abundance. It's easy to say now, but he missed that penalty in pre-season when he put it over the bar. It's just not him at all. Then he goes and does it again in the Charity Shield, and it's almost as if, like, a little bit of a, dare I say, crisis of confidence. His mind's just not right. He played really well in general tonight, but clearly when he scored that goal, it was just a huge release of sort of like relief in a way. And that connection that he had with Jota and the connection that he has with the fans, it's just hit him smack in the face. And I don't think I've ever seen him get emotional like that in front of, in public. It's just not his style at all. But I think it's just a sneak peek of what some of these guys are holding back. And the other guys in the team we don't know, Jota as well, have maybe dealt with it easier or better. But Canate tonight, we'll criticize him and say he looked completely all over the place tonight. But what do we know whether or not he's just, his head's just not there, and he's just not right. So I think we do have to cut the guys some slack. I'm not saying that we can't criticize them when they play poorly, because that's the way that you've got to analyze a game. But the reality is there's a huge caveat to what's happening in these early weeks of the season. And we all need to probably just take a step back and think these guys have been through an emotional roller coaster over the last 6 or 7 weeks. And we probably just need to be realistic about the fact that we don't actually know what's going on inside their heads. And what we see on a day-to-day basis may not necessarily be the whole truth.
Asim, man, I just want to come into this a little bit more. It doesn't get spoken enough of. The club have been impeccable from start to finish. Since the Jota passing, the way they've conducted themselves and acted, it's near perfection. In such a bad circumstance, but they've been very classy all around. And I want to give a massive shout out to Chelsea as well. Prize money. I just heard yesterday that the players
that was brilliant gesture, wasn't it?
Was it to Jota's family, isn't it?
That's the family, yeah.
That's brilliant. And times like this, we forget, like, yes, rivalry is there, and we've definitely had a rivalry with Chelsea over the years since the Mourinho days, but that's a class gesture and a class act.
I believe the family was there tonight as well.
Yeah.
Which, on my word, honestly, like nothing that they ever witness or see will ever make it better about what's happened. But if that doesn't, if that's not a huge arm around the shoulder and a show of love from us to the family, then I don't know what is. So the posters and the banners and the applause and whatnot before, during, and after, it was just, as I say, you can't be anything but proud of the fan base, can you?
100%. Let's go to the game.
Your thoughts to end it with?
I gave you my thoughts. I thought it was really, really emotional. It felt like it was a really, really powerful moment. Honestly, I think we need to all go back, and that it's not the. I think we're going to all be watching that for the rest of the week, and maybe rest of the season as well. It was Salah and the cop, and it was just an outpour of emotion. And it felt like Salah was just saying, "You know what? We've got this. Yes, we're going to be struggling. We're going to be suffering, and the suffering will never ever. When you lose someone so close to you, you always just try your best, and they have to be professional because they have to play football. But I think Junior's in the building, and he said there's an empty seat in the changing room as well. So look, I think that is a really, really good touch, and that will drive him, and that will drive him. And in a really, really minute comparison, because there's nothing like someone passing away and someone like a Jurgen Klopp, a father figure, leaving the club. You know, look, honestly, I can't really describe that moment, because when I only watched it on TV, and it got me. It humbled me. I can't lie. And imagine being in the ground and being and watching Salah, and I really just I couldn't keep my eyes off him, because even the TV cameras just stayed there, and I just thought, is he crying? Is he crying? Because sometimes these players will have to, like, just think about it. Can I even show some emotion with a million cameras in front of me and thousands and thousands of fans? Because you need to carry this team as well, and emotionally, because they have to do their job as well. As harsh as it sounds, but that's what these guys are. And look, it was really powerful. It was really emotional, but in many, many ways, it was very, very special as well. And I think these guys, like you guys have said, they will be suffering, but they will make sure that they do it for Diogo as well, week in, week out. Let's go to the game, Avi, because I thought we started okay-ish. But I thought Bournemouth, after 15, 20 minutes, were very, very comfortable. And even though we went 2-0 up, there were signs that, you know what? You lose the ball in areas, Avi, and they can hurt you. And they did at 2-0 and 2-1 and 2-all. But just give me your thoughts about the start of the game and how Liverpool settled.
I think Iraola, I think he's a top coach. We've seen it last season. They're pressing machines, and that's led from Evan Nielsen, who's just an absolute workhorse. The two sitting midfielders in there that were Alex Scott, I thought was really good, and he's had plenty of potential since his days at Bristol. And he was, touted maybe coming to Liverpool for a while when he was at Bristol in the Championship. I thought they set their stalls very well, and they've lost a key players over the summer. They probably will lose one or two others. I thought they looked comfortable. I thought we played okay in patches, and I think we're still trying to string things together, Asim, in my opinion. I think there's a few things that, we need working on. I mentioned it with Kirkers, especially. He's, even at Bournemouth, he reminds me of Albert Moreno. We will love the tenaciousness. We will love the passion. He does love a slide tackle. That's something that he'll need to iron out in his game. And Semenyo, look, there's no shame in saying that Semenyo got the better of him at times in the first half. Semenyo is a very good quality player. And you've mentioned, Asim, that he's a player that we've definitely looked at in the past. And we saw the damage that he did to us in the second half. But once we got that first goal, I thought, okay, now there's a little bit of now we can put a break on things. Now maybe we can see McAllister dictating play. And I thought him and Szoboszlai, they were good in patches and then bad in others. We know when he's got himself turned back to goal, McAllister isn't the greatest of backtrackers, not the quickest anyway. I thought Szoboszlai, off the ball, superb, normal shift. I can't speak highly of his energy levels on the ball. That back flick that causes their first goal wasn't too great, but I kind of understand it. When you're 2-0 up, maybe a bit of showboating here and there, but those things do need to be ironed out. I get it, first game of the season, you just want to impress. But yeah, first half, I thought it could have gone either way. Bournemouth had a chance or two. They looked dangerous. But I do want to come on to Hugo Ekitike. First game at Liverpool.
Yeah.
He would have been a bit daunted by that reception, by You Never Walk Alone. He would have felt that and thought, okay, I'm in the big time now. This ain't playing for, and no disrespect to Frankfurt, this is the big time now at Liverpool. But the way he takes that goal, a little bit of luck, as he tried to take it through the legs of, I don't know who this the centre back was, Senesi, I think it might have been Senesi. But the finish, cool, calm, and composed. Something that we've lacked in front of goal in previous years. But yeah, that was a brilliant finish, and the celebration was nice. A tribute to Diogo. But yeah, I thought he was the pick of the bunch of the new signings and the pick of the bunch of the players first half for sure.
Let's stick with Ekitike, Ben. I thought he connected play beautifully. He held his defender off on most occasions, and his footballing IQ, you can tell that he is that facilitator. He is that player who can shift gears and play on the shoulder as well. He can connect. He can play triangles. He's just got an overall good footballing brain, and that's always a good start, Ben.
Yeah, no, he looks really good. I'm just going to say, Asim, I hope you don't mind me just slightly changing the subject, but Liverpool have just made a statement there about the racial abuse that happened in the first half. And I just think it's really important, especially a channel like ours with a multicultural viewing. You know, it's 100%. Sad, and it's really, and it's just disappointing, and it's ugly, and it's nasty, and it's like, you know, I'm a white guy from Liverpool, you're an Asian guy from Bradford, Avi's in America, but we all love the Reds, and it's like there's a fan in the crowd there that's done what they've done. You know, we've got Konate playing for us, we've got Van Dijk playing for us, we've got Ekitike playing for us, multicultural black guys, and it's like, we don't need this in our sport. And I hope whoever it is, you know, as the season ticket or the ticket taken off them, and they were spot on to what's called to identify it. And it, you know, it makes you sick to even think that can still be happening in today's day and age. So fair play to the Premier League for identifying, and fair play to Liverpool for doing what they've done 100%. To condemn it. 100%. But I just think it's right. It's a right thing to say. Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Well said.
So Ekitike, awesome. Yeah, really, really positive. You know, I think in the back of his mind, I don't know whether anyone noticed at the Charity Shield, he did that little gesture when he scored the goal. And I can't help but thinking, all he must be reading every day is Isak's coming, Isak's coming, Isak's coming. He's like, well, I'm here now, and I'm the man at the moment, and good on him, because he's got the opening goal for us against against Bournemouth, and he looked bright. He looked really bright. You know, I think the Premier League.
Trent did that, didn't he, last season?
He did, yeah, he did, yeah. But it's like, it's so frustrating because, you know, it's going to take time for him to adapt. The Premier League's a very, very physical league. You know, Bournemouth were very, very physical. Anthony Taylor was, as usual, with and sure nonsense. Didn't give us even a sniff of a free kick for the first half an hour. He just, you know, he was determined to be the Anthony Taylor where I'm not going to be bullied by the Anfield crowd. I'm not going to let the champions intimidate me. But, you know, there was a good few tackles that went through the back of our players, and he didn't give us anything. That was a handball, by the way, as well, from the guy when we broke away, and Ekitike would have kicked away. But anyway, it was he was good. Really impressed. Some really nice touches. I think I noticed that he tried to sort of bully the opposition defender more than just get to grip of the ball. I think again, the pace of the Premier League, he'll have to adjust to that. I think that's the same for Wirtz, to be honest, as class as he is. He's going to have a steep learning curve to get used to the Premier League. But yeah, I was really positive. Took his goal really well. Obviously, I think he should have probably scored the header that he had in the second half as well. And then he was really cool and composed in the box to just hold off his man and lay it in for Gakpo for the second. So yeah, positive.
Asim, I was talking to my friend in one of our chats, and he said, how self-assuring does Ekitike look on the ball, off the ball, the movement? He has this arrogance about him. I said, it's because he's fucking French. The French are known to be arrogant, full of themselves, but he backs himself, and I love that.
He does,
You mentioned, Asim, that when we signed him, you did a little bit of a profile check on him. I'm sure you watched videos of him, and he said, he's the Firmino sort of facilitator. You see him that. I saw traits of it today, but elaborate more on what you saw today and what you meant when you initially said that.
What you go back and you listen to Arne Slot, and the reason why, if we just needed a number 9 and we played with our two eights, and always, whether it's a flat 3 or whether it's a conventional 4, he does like security with a double pivot, and he also likes an extra man in midfield as well. So let's say, if Bournemouth were matching up in midfield, I don't want to go too much into the tactical side of it. If they were matching up, he does like, if Wirtz goes into the left half space, then if Sobo goes in to the double pivot with McAllister, Wirtz is still in the number 10 position, whether he's in the right half space or the left half space. If he's in the right half space, then Ekatike comes and makes that box midfield. So you've got your 4 defenders, you got your 2 double pivots, and then you got 2 wide attackers, and then you got Wirtz and Ekatike. So it's security through central progression. And if someone like Bournemouth are going and attacking in an aggressive manner, you do want that security, because then you say, we've got our 6 lads in the first phase, and are you going to bring your 6 lads a man to man? And with Areola and Bournemouth, they say, okay, yeah, look, we're brave enough because we back ourselves to win the ball up high up the field. And there's reasons why they've got players like Tyler Adams who like a tackle, and Semenyo who can carry a ball and can shift gears. They've always got pace and power in transitions. And this is the reason why you go back to last season, I think Bournemouth were top of the list when it came from high turnovers. That is their game. Direct, win the ball high and turn the opposition. And what Liverpool was struggling with it, because you've got the like, and this is where I think we missed Ryan Gravenberch, because when teams are aggressive, you need players who can win that 1v1 duel. As much as McAllister is great, he likes to feel the guy behind him. And sometimes if you're aggressive and you've gone really, really 100%, you win that ball. Endo, again, we know his inability on the ball. And then Szoboszlai is not as press resistant as Ryan Gravenberch. So we have to caveat everything. As much as we're going to talk about the structure of the game, the structure of Liverpool off and on the ball, where we look too open. We have to caveat every single thing that Ryan Gravenberch, as much as Bournemouth are aggressive, really aggressive off the ball, we do miss him. Why? Because he can drop a shoulder and beat a man. And when you're someone like Bournemouth are so aggressive, man-to-man press, it only takes one of your lads to beat their lads, and the whole game is opened up. But what was the original question anyway?
No, it's about Ekatike, but I like this because
about Ekatike, full-on match of the day analysis off the back of Ekatike there.
So that is the context.
That's why we call him Asim Hansen.
Yeah, so that is the context. So that is the context, Avi. The reason why I'm mentioning the whole context is, if you can't complete a box midfield, especially when you've got someone like Wirtz who likes to flow, and we saw how many deep positions he was picking up. If you are not going deep, the one thing you need as a footballer is technical ability. Because if you're going to go on the halfway line, if you're going to go on the left half space, if you have not got technical ability and the football IQ, you won't be able to control the ball and fend off a defender. And 2, you won't be able to connect with your teammates. And that is what he does. When he's on the halfway line, he can fend off a defender. Some people, and people like Billy are mentioning, he's got those Benzema traits as well. Although Benzema probably is a stock here, more muscular. This guy's more, taller, but he's still got the neat touch. And that's what, especially in the Premier League, I want Hugo Ekatike to fill up a touch, but where he really excels is his touch, Avi. And once you, especially in the physical league like the Premier League, if you got touch and the IQ to just pop it off first time around the corner, just like Bobby did, this is the reason why we're talking about it. And honestly, he can connect, he can play, he can play on the shoulder, he can be a target man. And although over the last couple of seasons, he's missed a few like good headers where at least you should have got on target. He could have scored at Wembley with a header.
Could have got a hat-trick today.
Could have had a hat-trick. And honestly, it is, and I think Ben mentioned a brilliant point, that this lad has come for 80 million. Forget about the price tag for a second. This lad has come and ignored Chelsea, Man United, Newcastle, and said, you know what? I don't give a shit. You're getting 120, 130, 140, 150 million pounds, depending on who you're going to listen to, whether it's Liverpool journos or Newcastle journos. I want to play for Liverpool. I'm confident in leading the line, and I cannot be more impressed with Hugo Ekatike's start. And you know, the outstanding thing is, Avi, is all the better play and his form and his confidence. This is just the start. And imagine him in about 6 months' time. But what a signing, what a start. And I couldn't be happier with Hugo ATA.
Ben, I think it was made easy that he played against the Sinisis and the Diakite, who made his debut. I thought he was pretty impressive too. I think he's only signed 3-4 days ago. I think he's only
2 training sessions apparently.
And they didn't. And you know, we usually say we know of a forward's grit when he gets that first tackle. And you know, welcome to the Premier League sort of tackle. We've seen it with Torres when he joined, Suarez when he joined, and they got up straight away. We saw it with when Nunes signed the Joachim Anderson, you know, and he butts him in the head. And he gets a red card. And he never kind of got into that rhythm again. Not saying that that was the sole reason that it didn't work out things for him at Liverpool. But I think the Newcastle game will be a big test because Dan Burn, Sven Botman, you know, even a Joelinton or a Bruno Gomes or a Tonali, they will get stuck into him. And that's when we'll see, okay, are you built for this league? At the moment, the signs are great. And we should be waxing lyrical over that first half because I thought he was sensational. For a first game, Premier League, Anfield, under the lights, I thought he was superb. Traits of Benzema, the touch, the 1-2s, the layoffs. He seems as if he will fit into this Liverpool team, but I think tougher tests to come. But I agree with Asim. 4 or 5 months down the line, I think he's going to be sensational in this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm as I say, to me, tonight is all about getting the points and the data that will have been captured from tonight's game and the lessons that will have been learned from especially Ekitike and Wirtz in that you don't get no time on the ball in the Premier League. It's physical, it's fast. You don't get a chance. Like Wirtz looked shattered after about 30 minutes, and it's like he's world class without a shadow of a doubt, but it doesn't matter how good you are, you've got to learn to adjust and adapt to the physicality of the Premier League because there's nothing like it on earth. It's huge, and once he does get used to that physicality and the pace and the transition and the fact that you can't shoot the ball at all hardly, he'll be absolutely fine, and Ekitike will be similar as well. I thought the contrasting from tonight, Areola is an excellent coach. Like to say, some of the things that he did tonight. So there's one thing where he put Semenyo on the right wing for a start when Semenyo is a left winger, because he obviously fancied himself against Kerkez. They obviously see that there's a little chink of armour that they've obviously known very, very well with Kerkez. They think, right, okay, we'll poke and we'll prod at that particular area and we'll see if we can wind him up. And that's exactly what happened, because he dived in a couple of times when he didn't need to. But that was a smart bit of play. I thought Evan Nielsen, if you noticed it, Van Dijk's is the best in the world in the air, but Evan Nielsen never challenged for a ball once, never went up for a header once. Every single time he just given Van Dijk a little nudge before he headed the ball, so it made it so difficult for us to win the headers and control the ball. Konate was completely and utterly out of sorts. I don't know why, but he looked like he'd never played football before. He was getting pulled from pillar to post. His positional play was poor, and you know there was and Frimpong as well. The physicality was unbelievable for him. He was getting pulled from pillar to post, really, really difficult. So it was a huge learning curve for them tonight. And I want on and now, after we have 24 hours recovery, to coach the life out of them for the next week against Newcastle and get them ready.
I just want to cut off quickly off topic. Did you have issues with your Virgin Media today, Asim?
I did.
Because my mum was showing me. She showed me a video because they've switched from Sky to Virgin Media. And it was like frizzy and different.
And she goes, I missed from 35th minute, probably about 33rd minute.
She missed the first goal, she said. And then she says,
we missed the first goal as well.
And then she goes, Abby, what shall I do? I think the box, I go, well, these what effing happens when you switch from Sky to Virgin. But then it does seem as if it was a issue. So
because
if my mum watched that, I apologize to mum.
Bilal
Sky,
is in the
thankfully.
house. Bilal is in the house, like in the building and in my house downstairs.
Anji Billy.
And he says,
Yeah,
He says, Assalamu alaikum, big up everyone. What a classic, almost ruined by the alleged racism. Big up Keithley, beautiful town and people, Abu Zahra Foundation. Allahumma barik lahum. Virgin Media. And this is what, Avi, we were running between my house and Khalid's house. And then I went to Khalid's house. We turned his TV on. It was exactly the same. Then Billy goes, look, I've got Now TV, but Khalid's wasn't a smart TV. Then it wasn't coming up. There was a nightmare. Then we got back into the car. I went back to mine, and then it was half time. And then it was an absolute nightmare. I was actually going to tell you that I need to cancel the show because I have not watched the game. But thankfully,
I got my mum to reset the box, the TV. I said, just reset it or plug it from the main switch and start again after 30 seconds.
Word.
So
and then we watched it. We watched it on Now TV.
Yeah.
We watched the second half on Now TV. But it was an absolute nightmare. And then what was happening is I had my phone on me, and Now TV was around about 30-40 seconds behind. So my phone was popping off 2-1. Oh shit, 2-0. I threw my phone on the side of the room. I thought, I can't take this.
Oh, was it throughout the game then?
Second half, we watched it on Now TV.
Oh, okay.
Good job. Billy was here because Billy's got an account. So he just put it on his phone and then whacked it on across the TV.
I just and before we come to sort of critiquing players, I just want to come on Florian Wirtz, obviously the big money player. Asim, if you don't mind, we go on that. So there's been a few people on Twitter saying, lackluster second half. Is he built for the Premier League? Physicality. He was out of sorts. He was not out of sorts in the first half. I thought, and I've said this. He's a player that will take 3 months. I'm sorry, guys. We could have paid 200 million for him. He will take time because he will need to learn the tempo of the Premier League, the quickness, the aggression. And he's a player that will time his game. He may be quiet for 15, 20 minutes of a game, but then spark up within a second. That's the kind of player he is. People are expecting him to be this sort of player throughout the game and a 90-minute player. He's not. That's not what he's brought on. He's brought on to produce magic moments. I thought he was really good first half. Asim, he was knitting play together. He was learning his surroundings. He was learning the pitch. And that will take time. He's only had a handful of minutes against Bilbao. Yeah. Come October, we will see the true Florian Wirtz. At the moment, I am not worried I'm not worried if he doesn't register an assist or a goal up until October. He needs 2-3 months to bed in and to learn the system as well and to be in tune with Isak, with Ekitike, with the Gakpo, with Salah, with the midfielders behind him. I can see a special relationship bonding between him and McAllister in tandem. I think those two will be a delight to watch.
Yeah, there's a couple of cheeky 1-2s, weren't there, where you think to yourself, if they were sharper and just a little bit more, 5, 6, 7 more percent, they'd have just cut Bournemouth to pieces on a few occasions that they didn't, where we just went bang, bang, bang and straight through them. And as you said, with Ryan as well, who's so press resistant and can roll a challenge, you put them three together and you are looking at like a PSG style 3 of Neves, Vitinha, and what's called
Fabian Ruiz,
Vitinha, and Ruiz. Sorry, you're definitely going to see that sort of style where they just play around you. They just absolutely play around you. And I think you're right about Wirtz. He's got a world class touch. He's got a world class brain. And he just needs to adjust to the physicality and the speed of the Premiership, and it'll take time. It will take time, but I think once he gets going, he'll be a flat track bully in the fact that he'll just find a spot. But the thing is, though, it sort of doesn't matter because the threat from so many different areas in the pitch, like Gakpo, is a funny one in the fact that he had a great chance and didn't take it. Then he does really well for his goal, and then he has another really good chance where he doesn't make the most of it. And you think to yourself, you could probably analyze that game now and think we could have comfortably scored 7 goals there. If you look at it, we could have comfortably scored 7 goals, and we're not even close to being 100% efficient and fluent. And we haven't obviously got the main man either. So you think to yourself, once we get going and click, we're just going to be devastating. And you just have to find the balance with the defense, and we'll be brilliant. We will be brilliant. So, I think everyone just needs to relax and say that tonight was a huge emotional roller coaster and it'll take time.
Asim, I want to give credit to Truffet, the new signing for Bournemouth left back,
Left
and
back,
Adam
yeah.
Smith. I thought they did a really good job, and we didn't go down that side a lot of times. Asim, lack of fluidity. I saw it. Frimpong didn't overlap as much as we thought. Is almost, and I think they mentioned it in commentary. He was being used as a extra man in midfield because he was cutting in a lot of the time, and outnumbering the Bournemouth midfield area, and he was being like that fourth sort of man alongside sort of Wirtz, but he wasn't going down that channel. We didn't see it much in the Community Shield, and today we didn't see him on the overlapping run from Gakpo. Need you to explain that one.
Frimpong. The reason why I don't
The
think
lack of
the
the
lack of
overlaps from both sides.
the reason why when you have underlaps and overlaps, Avi, you need to get out of the first phase. I don't think Bournemouth allowed us to do that because how aggressive they are in their press. That's what it was. You either have to bypass the press and play it long. How many times have you seen what I was talking about? If you've, sort of, because you want really good security in the build-up, where you have four-dimensional players, and that's why at times if you've got like a low block, Salah comes inside and Frimpong goes wide. But because they were man-to-man and so aggressive that we had to have a bit of security, and we just put Szoboszlai and McAllister in midfield. But because of how aggressive they are in the tackle and in the turnovers, it's very, very difficult to control the game. And maybe we missed someone like a physical presence of, a Belabor or a Wharton, who's a bit more tempo setting type of players.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah, because I do think we do miss a player of that sort, of that ilk. Obviously, different profiles like a Camavinga and Belabor are maybe a bit more similar. I've got more legs than someone like Wharton, but Wharton is more disciplined. And Arnie Slot has been talking about a guy who I see as a number 6 who stays in that position a bit more boring, will make us a bit more conservative as a team. But you do need that trait in a team, Avi. But generally speaking, going back to what you're talking about, Frimpong, and we didn't see him on the overlap, on the underlap, unless we won the ball high up, and because of his pace, he can join the attack. You need to work the attack, and I don't think we played around their press or through their press enough. And you have to give credit to Bournemouth, and they made us go long and go. And how many times have we saw Van Dijk play that ping, or Szoboszlai come really deep and play that Van Dijk ping as well? Is because how deep and aggressive they were. So our midfielders had to go and really collect it off the centre backs and play it. But when you've got really good duelers, and you mentioned their left back and right back, they fancy themselves to win that duel in the air and turn over the ball and go again and turn around Liverpool. So you have to give credit to Bournemouth.
Asim, do you think
the game is very, very brave, and they nearly pulled it off.
Do you think we showed patience in that midfield area there, Asim? It just seemed harried because even McAllister today, they just kept looking at Wirtz. They just kept looking at get it to Wirtz. Szoboszlai as well today. On the ball, I didn't think he was great. They just looked at that man like Wirtz to expect him to do something where they had forgotten their own game. And we've seen when it came to PSG, the balance that they have, but the patience that the Ruiz, João Neves has, who's the other one, Vitinha has, that midfield area is a perfect blend. I don't think we have enough patience with those two, especially if they play in tandem, Szoboszlai and McAllister.
I know what you're saying, but I was just about to finish off with the point that people don't like listening to because of the manner that he was, he left. Half of our build-up was Trent. When you're aggressive, you need a player who can play into midfield first time. How many times over the years did you see him play that ball into midfield from a right back position, from a standing position? I've been talking about it. I watched 10 minutes of the Preston game, and I said, you know what? We need this sorting out. Why at the moment, even against a team like Preston, it feels like we're overcommitting, and that is the reason why you're seeing Van Dijk and Konate so stretched, because we're overcommitting on that side. And Salah, if he's on the inside, he can't get back. He doesn't even really get back anyway. What we also miss, as much as, and this adds to our creativity because we've lost Trent, Wirtz is going to give us over a season so much creativity, and he's going to mesmerize us over a season. And I wouldn't change him for the world, but we have to make those adjustments. Why? Is because the downside of having or not having Szoboszlai is playing from the 10 is there is no better shuttler going left to right, and covering. And even though you saw him counter press, if we didn't have Szoboszlai counter pressing from the middle of the pitch, I don't know what the score would have been. But when he's in the number 10, and I'm not saying he should be playing in the number 10, don't get me wrong, but the downside of not having someone like a workman like number 10 is because you've got someone like Salah that you would like to give him a bit more freedom on the ball because he wins you games, he wins you leagues. You do lose the guy who can slow down an attack. And we didn't see it enough. We saw it in a different type of counter press through the middle, but Avi, I am slightly concerned, and I'm not. I'm confident that Slot will sort it out because he's a great coach. But like Ben touched on, that it needs working on, and
it needs coaching, doesn't it?
It needs coaching. But you have to understand is how much of the coaching is going to sort this out. Like if you need to commit your right back so far down the pitch, if you've got an unbelievable number 10 who doesn't give you the defensive qualities of like someone like Szoboszlai, then how can you change those? You can't change those structure.
It's not me. It might be natural. It might be a mentality, mightn't it? Because there's so many players on the pitch with an attack-minded mentality. There's not that many players on the pitch with a defensive mentality. And like the perfect example of that was their second goal, in that the ball broke down in their box, but we had 7 players in their box, and it was like they just ran straight through us.
That reminded me of the FA Cup game against United, that breakaway where Ahmed Diallo scored the winner.
Exactly that. Like, they had 7 players. Like Jones was in the 6-yard box, and he was supposed to be the holder midfield player, but his natural mentality is not to sit. And I do think we miss Ryan so much. And I think, to be fair, it was a mistake from Slot. You know, he's not free from criticism. I think the decision to play Endo at right back just didn't work or make sense at all. And then as soon as they brought Gomez on, who's just a natural defensive player, defensive-minded player, I thought he was superb. Just slotted in perfect, did a job. He's obviously probably only had training for about 3 days. And then Endo goes back into his more natural position. And we know he doesn't have the quality, but he has the natural mentality to be defensive and to block and to cover. And that made such a difference to the balance. So, and I think, you know what? I think, like, Canate is obviously a superb player and he's done really well for us. But I think in game states like that, Mark Guehi, it will be a really, really important asset as well, because he has that natural mentality to defend. And the difference he can do, he can find a ball into midfield from deep, not to the level that Trent can, but enough to be able to provide another option to be able to punch it into midfield.
Jay mentions a point, even with Trent, teams still targeted us down the right. That's 100% right because of Trent's traits of going forward. But our right backs, current right backs, what these guys don't have, they have the energy, they have the intensity, but they don't have a first-time ball. They don't have a switch. And how you need to beat teams then is with a lot more movement. But when you're moving around, yes, it confuses defenses, but against low blocks, you're committing, and against Premier League teams who can turn over and go back to front within a split second, then you're in danger, because we will still have Salah, even when in Klopp sides, we still try to cheat with Salah, and then Trent's traits were going forward. But when Trent, we had a lot more control with Trent because he could play a ball and slow games down and keep it moving. Is because his passing ability from a standing position was better than these guys. And I'm not going against Conor Bradley and Frimpong and these guys, but on the ball quality, it's just chalk and cheese. We can't deny that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And Trent's deficiencies defensively were just ignored because of the genius that he had on the ball. But the reality is, Frimpong and Bradley don't have that quality. I was a little bit concerned about Frimpong. As I say, again, it felt like a bit of a rabbit in the headlights debut for him in terms of the speed and the energy that's required. Like, he got himself into a right mess when David Brooks had him on the touchline, and it was almost as if like he panicked and just was pulling him down. And I was like, you're going to be coming up against a lot better wide left players than David Brooks, mate. So, but again, it's a learning curve, and we can't expect these players to just be like instant Premier League stars, when it's a completely different animal, the Premier League. It is a completely different animal. So I think we do need to give them a little bit of, cut them a bit of slack, and see the bigger picture, and just see that if this is what they look like going forward, first game of the season, what are they going to be like, as Ivy said, in 3 months' time? And the defensive side of it, I don't think we'll be as secure. We will have to make adjustments, but if we're scoring that many goals, hopefully it won't matter that as much.
And I think that's what it is. I think today was a game where there was going to be plenty of imbalances, and we will find the perfect balance. We haven't had a Wirtz for many a year in this team.
Absolutely.
Maybe we had like a Maverick in terms of like a Shaqiri, but how much game time did he have under Jurgen?
Wasn't a starter, was he?
We haven't had a specialist sort of 10, a creator in that, in those zones like
Coutinho, possibly the last one.
Yeah, Coutinho, perfect point. And even then, we were defensively lapsed because we didn't have a Van Dijk up until that December-January period. This team, there has been changes. Trent was a big loss. We've got in Frimpong. We've got in Kirkes, who's come in for, Robertson, who had a bit of flack for the last 18 months. We have got a Wirtz, and we've got a Ekitike. We've changed our forward line. We haven't got the Diaz. We haven't got that sort of pressure runner when we needed to. The one who presses, and there are a lot of facets that we're going to lose when it comes to not having a Luis Diaz, because Gakpo cannot do the role that Diaz did and what he offered to this team, but he gives us it in different ways. So it will take this team to gel. This is now, we are entering the slot zone team now. This isn't a Jurgen team with a little bit of fine print from slot of first season. This is now firmly a slot team. So it will take time. It will take 2-3 months for this team to gel, but it will gel. Best believe this team, and we will still be grinding out results. We will still be winning and be up there. And once October, November hits, we will see this team in full flow.
100%.
Yeah, and the mentality's there still, isn't it? That's the key bit. To go from 2-0 up to get pegged back to 2-2. The crowd's tense. People are worried. They look dangerous, Bournemouth. They had the foot on the pedal. For us to just go again and find that result, it's so Liverpool. It couldn't be more Liverpool. Like, I've just caught a quote there from Slot post game where he said, that we may have lost our shape a little bit, or we may have lost a little bit of defensive fragility, discipline, but we haven't lost our mentality.
Wow.
And as I say, that was such a telling thing, really, wasn't it? And I think the rest of it can come in time. Just interested to see, do you think is it just a bit of a pipe dream, or do you think that really could be a turning point for Chiesa to stick around?
There's some. I've seen some quotations, and we'll discuss Chiesa.
Apparently, Slot and Kara have. Kara's actually pushed hard at full time at the Sky post match.
About what?
Apparently, Kara tried to expose his sort of tactics, and Slot wasn't really having it, from what I'm reading on Twitter.
It is there, yeah. There it is.
That'll be interesting to see.
Chiesa on his future. I'm very happy at Liverpool. I will speak to the club, but I want to stay here and fight to win trophies.
And then there's some further comments from Slot on Chiesa's future. When we needed him, he delivered, and that is always positive for your future at a club. And then early in the interview, he said, as long as he is here, he's definitely at Liverpool, and I have no reason to believe something is going to change. So it looks like he's sticking around, isn't he? Let's go through some super chats. Ethan Chadwick, thank you so much for sending this through. And I think he accidentally sent 2. So Ethan, you've been a bit trigger happy on your keyboard, mate. Come end of the season, I will be bold. Going to be bolder than Slot by the end of the season, 100%, mate. I opened the show and said that was like a Champions League second leg at Anfield under the lights, and we made it into the European final because that was one roller coaster, mate. Faraz is in the house. He sends a super chat. Thank you so much. Sobo isn't 8. Him and Jones are wide midfielders/wingers who don't have the positional IQ, sense of true 6/8s, only press resistant is Gravenberg. There is a reason Maka wasn't relieved of defensive duties. Was relieved of defensive duties by De Zerbi. And what I will mention in addition to Faraz, and similar, it sort of overlaps what you guys were talking about, how we will sort the attack out. I think Arne Slot recognizes the natural profiles of Kirkes and Frimpong, but his own principles have always been security in the first phase of football. or the attack, sorry, where he likes, okay, one to go, one to stay. We've seen Luis Enrique win the Champions League with that, where Hakimi is atop of the box at times, in midfield at times, conventional at times as well, depending on the press. But Mendes, generally speaking, always goes. And if he's a bit deeper, if he's a bit higher, it means someone like Vitinha comes in the left-sided centre-back positions and then goes. So what we've seen at times in McAllister come in that Toni Kroos role, Dominic Szoboszlai.
I was just about to press you on this. I know we missed Trent immensely. Do we need a Kroos in this system, Asim?
I think when McAllister is fitter, Avi, I think we will see him. But also the beauty about, I think Wirtz can come so deep and be the extra man in build-up, and he's got the legs to go. He's not a normal number 10. He is, he's not, you know how David Silva used to go really deep?
Yeah.
I was about to say David Silva, yeah.
Like a David Silva, but he's a David Silva on wheels.
Yeah, David Silva with an engine.
Yeah. So
that's what makes him so unique.
That will help us. But the general feeling is, so you can't take the natural traits out of Kirkes. You can only do so much unless you completely change the player. That will be an unbelievable coaching from Arne Slot. And I'm sure he will do it over time, because you have to understand these guys are still young. They're coming into different leagues when it comes to Frimpong. And Frimpong is naturally a wing-back, Avi, not a full-back. And he's played in a 4-3-3 at times for Leverkusen in Musala's position.
Even at Celtic, if I'm not mistaken, he used to play with Tierney was the wing back at Celtic, if I'm not mistaken. And then you had Frimpong on the right, and then they would play with 3 in the middle.
Yeah. So I think the emphasis on the midfield is probably a bit more. Why is what I'm talking about is Salah's Slot recognizes the natural traits of his fullback in Kirkes and Frimpong, and if there will be 5-10 yards, because that's all it takes, 5-10 yards of difference, I think it puts a bit more emphasis on the two midfielders in midfield. So the McAllister has to do a lot more shuttling across midfield. So that's why I think I tweeted, sometimes is a bit of a laugh, but I can see if your fullbacks are slightly a bit higher, the need of someone like a guy who shuttles across and eats ground, someone like a Kamavinga, someone like a Baleba. And if you don't want to slow down the attack, if you want to still, go toe to toe, then you go and get a Baleba and go get a Kamavinga who will just eat up ground and go again. But if you want to slow down and play on your own terms, then you go get someone like an Adam Wharton or a Zuma Mendy, like we saw last year. But I think he will change it. I've not seen the Carragher and Slot interview. Some people saying Slot has absolutely schooled him. I can't comment on that because we've not seen it. It'll be interesting to see what was said. I can see maybe or predict Carragher probably asked him about how open Liverpool look, and maybe Slot is just coming out and saying, look, why should I even discuss it with you? Because if I start discussing it in front of Sky Sports cameras, then the whole Premier League and the whole world will see what our deficiencies are. Liverpool will be getting looked at all last season and all pre-season. But I think you have to give the manager a lot of benefit of the doubt, because he's lost Luis Diaz. We've talked about how important he was to the press and off the ball. We've lost Trent, how important he was. He was 50% of the build-up, in my opinion. So all these things need to be integrated. And then when you're bringing in the likes of Frimpong and Kirkes, and then bringing in number 10 who needs protection as well, so he can express himself, these things don't, get fixed overnight. So like Gene has been saying, the first 6 games, points on the board.
Points on the board, yeah.
Points on the board.
Yeah.
Super chat karo.
Super chat karo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do the
Rakeen Dharma 6141, thank you so much. We needed this after being on holiday since March. Was worried we lost that winning culture. I was wrong. New team, new season, same mentality, monsters. And you know what? He makes a good point. Even though we won the league, winning breeds winning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
we haven't been in form for 2 months, have we? If we're being honest,
we've been on holiday since March. Yeah,
we've been in Ibiza.
Exactly. Selection in the house. Thank you so much. Always supporting the channel. He says, Transition / our rest defense has been our most glaring issue since pre-season. Arriving at the opposition third in good conditions too, in my opinion. Need someone who can cover, make up ground quickly, or total control. That's what we've been discussing, boys. Ben, you want to touch on that, Wabi?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It's, you know, the reality is it's still very, very early days. There's still a lot to be able to work through. And, you know, just going back to Carragher, I love Carragher, but I think sometimes his views can be a bit archaic. Like his obsession with the fact that Ekitike can't be second choice because he cost us 80 million. And it's like,
I think
we
he's
don't have
covering his.
20
I think
million.
he's covering. I think he's trying to cover his ass with that one as well.
Maybe he is,
I
yeah.
think
But
he
it's
made
like,
What was he covering his ass for? I don't understand.
No, I think he's just going to back himself into a corner. Even on the overlap yesterday, I saw it yesterday. He was just trying to say, I don't know why we would spend 150 for Isak. Listen, it's not your bloody money first and foremost, right?
yeah.
The one summer that we are now flexing our financial muscle and going to go out and getting the best, people have still got a complaint to make.
You know, it's a fine line. It's a fine line, Ben, saying a team lacks depth, yeah, and then you can't have it both ways. Then say, oh, you know what? Don't go get an 80 million pound player who's going to sit on the bench. You know, he's too good for that. What do you mean he's too good for that? We win the biggest prizes. And honestly,
Exactly.
the only thing I was doing watching that I don't watch Overlap, but someone sent me that clip and said, "Asim, what do you think?" And I wrote a big essay on it on Twitter. But when I was watching that, I was flabbergasted, but I was laughing because it was a nonsensical bloody argument. It was pathetic. And I'm being kind.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we've said it already, haven't we? We're trying to build a squad to win everything. And if you have one area of the pitch that's miles off the rest of it, it brings the entire thing down. So what does he expect us to do? I know, let's go and get a Mateta or something who's going to just happily sit on the bench for 40 million pounds. It's like, you want someone who's going to challenge. And we all have to be perfectly honest about the fact that Alexander Isak is as well cast as he is, and I hope that he signs. He's never played more than 30-odd games a season. So there's a good chance that he will get an injury or two along the way. And if Ekitike can play as a false nine behind Isak, can play as the leading number 9 or can play off the left, then he's going to get loads of games. So, and at the end of the day, he's only a young lad, and this is just a start for him, sort of thing. So you want a really top player who's got loads of room to grow. And you know what? If in 12, 18 months he's developed a lot quicker than we anticipated, and he becomes a worldie, then we sell him for 150 or whatever it is. You know, and that's the way that the world works. But we're not looking to buy, you know, substitute players who aren't going to really be involved. We're looking to buy players who are going to progress us and move us on and make us challenge long term for the big prizes. You know, Salah's not going to be around forever. So there might be a plan to be able to use Ekitike and Isak together in the future. We don't know. We don't know.
He has seemed to forget that in 2001 we had Yari Littman and Heskey, Owen, and Fowler as our forward line. In when he's played 2, I know Littman January period. So, you know, and Cara played with them. So he should know that competitions, and he should be looking at Gary Neville should have said, listen, at United we had Sheringham, York, Cole, Solskjaer, you know, and in 99 we saw what Solskjaer and Sheringham did off the bench. So I just thought it was.
You need competition. You need quality competition. They have Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, and someone else. Chicharito, all rotating between each other, different players, different weeks. You need that competition without a doubt. And Carragher as well. He was going on about the fact that during the game that, you know, the defense is complete mess. It's gone to pot a little bit, and it's just like, I think sometimes he goes a little bit overboard, probably just because he doesn't want to come across is that he's just praising Liverpool left, right, and centre. But this obsession with playing out from the back. It's like when it's right and when it's sharp, we'll cut teams to pieces. You know, we're not just going to suddenly turn into a long ball team because we're not quite on it. That's how we're coached, and that's how we're going to play.
Asim, brother. So I was going to come to you, but it's fine if you want.
Okay, I just want to add a bit of a context to the incident in the ground, the racist incident. Apparently, and Stiho on Twitter, he said, from what I told, the people around him are the ones who identified him to the police. So fair play to those people.
Good.
There's always scumbags in every single walk of life and every single fan base. But you know what? Those people who identified him and to the police, that is what I call Liverpool fans. And I can't expect nothing less from those proper fans.
Absolutely.
I don't even
Absolutely.
call that guy a
fan.
Liverpool fan. And I hope the authorities throw the book at him, and that's what he deserves.
Sense.
Wirtz dropping so deep, gassed by 60 minutes every game for us with the super chat. We talked about him. Trent AA98, Wirtz with the eye emoji. Some people are
probably
not
not
happy.
impressed with him.
Yes.
First game in, like, and this is, and look, I know we're a fan channel, we're content creators, and you know we should call it as we see it, but this is his first game, lads. Come on, first game at Anfield. You know, I don't know what, you know, and legs were heavy in the second half. We saw it. He came off. Give him a couple of months. Just give him 8 weeks.
He was gassed, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he'll learn so much from that. And he's the sort of player as well, Wirtz. You can see it already. He's only 22. He's got huge amounts of experience. He's the sort of player who'll be like, right, I'll learn from that. And next time or in the coming weeks, he'll be like, right, okay, this is what I need to do different.
Yeah.
He will adapt his game because he's such a good player. He's such a talent that he will adapt his game to be good, because that's what he, you know, this is what he's born to do. Ironically, though, in a game against, say, Arsenal, where they may not necessarily be as quite as an aggressive press, that might suit him even more when they're trying to have more possession. And he might come to life in that. So, you know, there's a very, very difficult first game for him, especially, as I say, when we're still not quite sure exactly where the fitness levels are.
Asim, Sonny Wright, I come to you. Brother Ibu, ring rust? Dusting off those cobwebs?
What cobwebs?
Just, you know, first game of the season, tired a little bit, you know, just getting into his groove again. Does need about 3-4 games before we see.
Yes, it's only one game. It's only one game, but yeah, he doesn't look right. But I think Ben, I'm going to agree with Ben. What Ben was, you know, talking about the situation affecting people. We have to treat these guys as human beings, but yeah, just purely on performance based in isolation and just judging his performance. Yeah, it is a concern. It is a concern. Like shaky, nervous, clearing it when he doesn't need to clear it, passing it when he doesn't need to pass it, bad decisions, and that
questioning
goal.
himself. It was strange, very strange.
I just want to make sure that we both, or three of us, rule this out. Is there a possibility he leaves this?
I don't think he leaves. This window, I don't think he leaves. Do you agree with that?
You think the contract is?
I just wanted to ask that question.
Okay.
I think maybe so. I think maybe there might be some, you know, look, we know that Trent throughout last season played some good games, a couple of howlers, the United game at home, that 2-2, that he was absolutely ridiculous in that game, in a bad way, not in a good way. You know, that now people, you know, the youth of today say ridiculously good, but he was ridiculously bad that day. I don't think he is that character to let it phase him, but there might be, you know, the season has started. He is in his last. He in his last year.
Do you think there's a world where Gomez starts against Newcastle alongside Van Dijk?
Way too soon. No.
Well, you know why?
Canate, I think it's one of those where just takes him 3-4 games. I think Van Dijk next to him will give him a little bit of a push and say, "Listen,
got to rev up.
We know what you're made of. We know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, this is picking up a little bit now."
We know what.
Do you wish? Sorry, Asim. Do you wish Van Dijk would give him a bit more stick sometimes? Because that's one thing I notice about Van Dijk is that he sort of like gives people the look or whatever. But I wish he would, like, because I want to just grab Canate at some point and say, flipping get a grip, mate, snap out of it, you know, switch on. And maybe that was because he sort of knew that it wasn't because of his performance. His head just wasn't with it. Maybe he was sick or something will come out, because it didn't look like a bad performance in terms of, it just looked like a very confused and very sort of difficultly strange performance, but it was so lethargic and so off it It was very, you'd think first game of the season, you'd be like, what, right on it. But he was like, he was huffing and puffing after like 20 minutes. He looked off.
100%, man. Even when he was winning the balls by, putting his foot down for 10, 15 yards and putting into touch or recovering the ball, I was looking at a player. I was looking at a player just waiting for him to pull up with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
I had that feeling that please don't pull up. And then the camera went to him a few times. And I thought, oh, is he injured or is he looking at the substitution bench thinking, replace me? Is it a cramp? Is it a niggle? Are you feeling something? But what I would say, and I don't want to keep on, sort of puffing on about the loss of Trent. But if the one player that will feel the loss of Trent, it's Ibu. Why? Yeah. Because Ibu's on the ball responsibility has just increased by 500%. Yeah. Because it was a really good combo. You have the ball, you play the ball in midfield or down the channel, and I'll stop the transition. But right now, if you're going to let the right back go and be the movement around the creators of Salah and Wirtz and be a lot more aggressive because you don't have that Trent passing into midfield, all the responsibility down that right side on the ball is all piled on Ibu now. Yeah. And I think
the answer to that is Conor Bradley, who's got much better on the ball in terms of distributing into midfield than Frimpong, or the other answer to that is Mark Guay.
I would just come into that.
And
well, it's one game. It's one game.
It is one game. It is one game. But it does make food for thought. Let's put it that way.
100%. You know what? It felt like we broke that game down, like we lost 4-2 and not won 4-2. But look, we tried to break down the game and we try to analyze what we see because we don't want to see something, not talk about it, and then just everyone's on the bandwagon and say, oh yeah, we're talking about it now because it's come to light in the main media. We'd like to think that we give you insight as we see it, and we talk about problems that are just sort of brewing. And Absolutely. It's Arne Slot's job and his coaching staff is to nip them in the bud over the next couple of weeks. And I'm sure they will. And we just have a few takeaways from tonight that we're a really, really, really good football inside, and we'll mesmerize and impress many people, and including Liverpool fans and the neutrals. But there's a few little fires that we need to put out.
Yeah, I think we're at 40%, and we've just won 4-2 against a really good Premier League team. So I'll take that.
Asim, on the positive side, though, and I don't know if you've ever come across this, and maybe not said it, maybe I haven't said it ever on this channel. I've said it previously on other channels. The four that scored, and let me know if this doesn't make sense to people. I totally understand it. The four that scored were the perfect four that scored.
Mohamed Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike, and Federico. Yeah.
Now let me start. Ekitike, home debut, under the lights. What more perfect could that be? To introduce yourself to the Premier League. I know he did that last week at the Community Shield, but to really introduce yourself in the first start, and yeah, that celebration might have been. Listen, all I'm hearing is Isaac, but I'm here, and I'm going to stake my claim as your front man and as your number 9. I know he's a number 22. Cody Gakpo, Diaz leaving, Cody Gakpo playing on the left. Now he is that sole responsible player on that left-hand side for the time being, whether we go and get someone or not, or whether Rio comes through or not and has, ample minutes this season or gets a few appearances. But Gakpo has to just continue doing what he does. He may not be a productive player, but he's an important player in terms of he will grab a goal, he will get an assist, he will get 15 to 20 this season, all competitions. And that's all we can kind of ask for when it comes to Gakpo and his ability and his sort of, of how much he's progressed in the last 2.5 years. Chiesa, a player who's got probably arguably one of the best songs up there. He's the Anfield folklore, chanting his song even when he wasn't on the pitch. Comes in a little bit in limbo with his career, but he might have got he got the most crucial goal, which was the third goal. And if that is his last sort of goal that he scores for Liverpool, or that's the last impact that he makes, he signs off with his head held high.
I hope it's not.
And I hope it's not too. And then the fourth, Salah, who scores on opening day all the time, we know how much that goal meant to him. We saw the celebration. So if any of those four, if I could have picked any of those four, it would have been those four from this whole squad.
Yeah, I tell you what, Asim, I have to say, you said 4-1. It was your prediction, and your 4 scorers were Ekitike, Wirtz, Salah, and Gakpo. So 3 out of 4, and 4-2 instead of 4-1. That's not bad.
I knew.
You don't get no money for it, but it was good.
I'm not a betting man anyway.
No.
It was a good job. Okay, people, we leave it there. We're giving you 1 hour, 10 minutes of a breakdown full of emotion. And that's what it was today. But Liverpool have got 3 points on the board. All the Premier League were watching. All the haters were watching, especially, and maybe getting their messages ready at 2-2 as well. But Liverpool never do it easy. But it was just a reminder to everyone that the mentality monsters will take some beating this season. Like and subscribe on the way out. We're done, yeah?
Listen, when the chip comes back after a little sabbatical holiday.
You know what? I've got Bilal who's messaged me 3 times. I said we're going to do half an hour. We're doing 1 hour.
What does he want, Jarbani? What does he want?
Yeah, I need to feed the brother, man.
What?
It's 11:30 here. We're all shattered.
Well, these guys go for doner kebabs. Look at the state of him. He's going to have some lamb doner, akbars, whatever they call it. But no, it's been a great
You can carry on if you like.
No, it's all good.
Another little positive to finish on. Gonzalo Ramos in talks with Newcastle.
Ooh, nice.
So that might kick things along a little bit. Getting to the what's it called. We'll have another song to sing in a few days.
Asim, I have a feeling.
Ooh, feelings.
Isaac aside, I have a very great feeling about next week. Non-Isak news. Isak is done. Whether we can argue to the Blue Bay Moon.
Non-Guay news.
Non-Gagey news too. I think we're going to get very great news next week. That's it. That's the chip bomber.
Any names?
No names. They don't deserve the name. Hey, it's my first day back. Maybe I'll give the name on Sunday.
Left winger by any chance?
Ben, lips are sealed for now.
Okay, let's
Magic.
Thank you very much.
Okay, people. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe.
Listen, where was my? Why didn't you do my predictions last night? You know I had an internet outage in the office. I even actually turned up for literally 10 seconds. I said, no, listen, don't add me because I couldn't even see
that was a good shout. That was a good shout. I apologize. My bad.
So can I go through it now then quickly?
I'm going because I'm going.
No. It's going to take 2 minutes to me to tell you what I said. You've got it.
I've got a column all lined up for you. So go on, fire through.
Player of the year, Isak at Liverpool. And regardless, you will win the PFA. Top 6, Liverpool to win the league. City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Spurs. Title winners, Liverpool. The sack race, I have unfortunately gone for Keith Andrews at Brentford. Unsung hero will be Lucas Bergville of Spurs. Watch out for him this season. Surprise.
A lot of people said that.
What was surprise? I don't understand. Call it one to watch. Was that a player?
One to watch, yeah. Just somebody who you think could break out this season.
But wasn't that same as unsung hero?
No, that's somebody who is will do a good job, but people won't give him the praise that he deserves.
Oh, so one to watch will be Lucas Bergville.
Yes.
Unsung hero. I'll come back to that. Europa League winners. I said not a Premier League team, so I don't care who wins it. FA Cup winners, Arsenal. Chelsea League Cup winners. Yeah. Liverpool for Champions League. Golden Boot will be Isak, although he's going to have to hurry up. Wirtz will be the best new signing of the season. And Sesko will be the biggest flop. That was
I went with Sesko as well.
Yeah, Asim went Sesko flop.
I think he'll struggle first season. That's it. Asim Chuti.
Young player of the year.
Young player of the year, Lucas Bergville. The boy is going to be Lucas Bergville. He's taking quite a few of my he's in my fantasy team too.
Is he? Go on.
Player, man. Very special player.
Okay, people, there's still over 450 of you. Please smash a like. Avi's still making weird noises, but we'll catch you on the next one. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night. Bye for now.
Good night, people.